So moving on from the previous session where we talked about the basics for the camera creator, let's take a look at using it in the context of a model. So we have a staircase here created using the GRAITEC stairs and railings. We have some model views activated in here, and within this particular model view we can see that we have a camera already in place and active. We've set the various parameters needed to create that. This will give us the plan view on the landing. But if we wanted to create a series of additional views, we would have to come back and use the place camera method through here and rotate and orientate your UCS coordinates accordingly. So this is where we can start to bring in play the camera creator within a model. So here we can set the camera type under here, type some text into the description, use the counter. And then we can set the orientation that's required based upon the world coordinate system. So just to remind you, that's this coordinate system down here. So in this case, the front would be on this edge here. I'm just going to quickly select my drawing style that I want to use, change this under the drop down list, pick a suitable style, set a scale, place camera, and obviously on the midpoint there. Similarly, I could change the orientation and decide to place it on a different side. I could change some of the parameters within here as well, activate some of these fields to restrain the overall viewability of the camera. Again, pick a suitable snap point and place the camera in the model. Again, we may wish to change the side and the orientation and place a similar camera on the opposite side. So again, I'm going to leave everything else as it is and just place the camera at a suitable point in the model. Exit the command. If we deactivate the top landing view, we can see the cameras that we've placed now. If you need to, you can make any adjustments that are required. So if you're not covering the areas that you need to cover within the model, you can adjust these by the grips that are available. And these are independent from each side now within the 2023 version of Advanced Steel. Similarly, if you decide one of the cameras you actually want to change how it works, you can come in and change its properties as you would do normally within Advanced Steel, activating the various model views and changing the parameters that control the overall size of the dialog. So here we can now see that we have the cameras created as we require them in the model. So if we were to come along now, we can use the drawing process to create these. If we come into here and go all cameras, and in this case I'm going to let it run as there's only the cameras in the model that have been created. You normally get this warning message if you haven't activated the automatic cameras placed within model views. So it just takes a few moments for the system to run those. If we pick one of those, we can take a look. So we can now see that the views have been created on the drawing. The side elevation, the section, the rear elevation there. And obviously we'd come back and there's the plan view there as well. So quite quickly we can create a series of cameras to complement the other views that we would normally create within the model to produce the final output drawings. So if we just come in here now and we're going to change to a structure. So this is a typical sort of, we would call it a portal frame building in my country. And it has a number of views created already, model views, and obviously inbuilt to those are a number of cameras with various properties set within those cameras. And we actually use the previous tool from our PowerPack, the multi-grid level tool, to generate these grids and cameras and model views. But obviously we can't do any sort of isometric views as we would normally do within the process of creating the drawings of the building. So again, we can use the camera creator to supplement that. Again, we can come in here, we set the type under there, type in here, and I'm actually going to use the token again in here, so for the counter. Again, I'm going to come in and I'm going to maybe select a particular drawing style again. So let's just come down in here and have a look. So we probably want a 3D style, all no labels. And bearing in mind this is quite a large scale drawing, so we probably got nuts and bolts and washers turned off. But again, it depends what you have customized in your drawing style. And I'm just going to place that camera within the model. So I'm going to snap to a particular point on that corner of the building. And then I'm going to remain in the dialog, and I'm going to come over to the other corner of the building. And we're going to place a camera on this corner of the building here. So quite quickly we've created a couple of isometrics of that part of the building, but maybe we want to do a different isometric looking from a different direction, and maybe we want this to be localized. So if we just put some measurements in here to create the initial cube, obviously you don't have to change it from the default, but I'm just going to do that. And maybe pick a different drawing style. Obviously do a different scale because it's probably a larger detail that we want to run. And place the camera. So again, if we're not happy with the placement of that, we can obviously exit the dialog. We can obviously come and look at that. And one of the nice things that we have is we can now in 23 is we can sort of change the size of these quite easily. So again, we've got a little bit of a view on that part of the corner of the building. So let's pick a couple of views here, a couple of cameras to again create a drawing from. Just change that to selected. If I was doing this all the time, I'd obviously create a process to do this. I'm just going to let that run. So again, the idea here, just to remind you, was that the camera creator tool is complementing the other tools that we've got where we've inbuilt cameras and activation of cameras from the model views. So this sort of completes the process of trying to place cameras at bespoke positions within a model. So let's take a look. Show camera detail. So obviously that created the view on there, and you can see it says ISO view 3. If we just pop back into the model, and obviously we'll take a look at this one. Show camera detail again. And obviously we've created the isometric drawing of the building, and that complements the other drawings that will be created within the series for the details to go to obviously the erector, the architect, the engineer, whoever was interested in seeing the drawings. So to come right back to the start, Obviously you saw this at the start of today's presentation, so this we believe is obviously a very interesting feature for this version and allows quite a bit of flexibility to complement our other tools that we've added into the PowerPack for this version.